hello YouTube, welcome back to Arachnid's Gaming World. I hope everybody is well. The sun's shining, so it's got to be good, to be honest with you. The sun is shining on the coast of England. I think we've actually entered summer. But I'd like to say thank you to all the likes, thank you to all the comments, thank you to all the subscribers, thank you for joining me in building this channel up. I appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. I honestly do truly mean it. So this one, we found free on Steam. So it's Face Unspeakable Horrors, Succumb to Madness. Welcome to a free demonic narrative experience inspired by H.P. Lovecraft. Basically, it's a game that takes place somewhere inside the morphine-addled mind of a ship's officer. And in that way, it is very much the 100% faithful adaptation of the original story. So I thought, why not? And on that note, as we're going to go into the depths of going mad, who can see their own elbows? That's one for you, isn't it, eh? And then we'll just go, how many of you are actually trying to do it at this precise moment in time? Let me know in the comments. Thank you. Right, without further ado, enough of that. I'm just playing around with settings. I'm just trying to get used to it. It's great. It's a great thing to have. So yeah, it's free on Steam. I was just flicking through. I thought, why not? You know, I'm not going to lie. I'm a bit strapped this month. I'll just jump on with it. I mean, you know, so we're just going to crack on. We are just going to crack on. We'll see what this is about. It's only going to take about half hour. So I thought, why not? Let's go mental for half hour. Mental. And then, nice one, brother. Yeah, we'll just crack on. So I just need sleep, to be honest with you. But thank you. Let's get on with this. So we call it Free Fest. Yeah, Free Fest. So Dagon is a faithful interactive adaptation of H.P. Lovecraft's work, focused on story and atmosphere. You will not find difficult choices, action sequences, or inventory management, and movement is limited to progression through locations along with the plot. So it's going to be pretty simple. I think we're just going to be tripping out with this bloke, to be honest with you. There is a character chatting over the top, so I won't get involved with it too much. Obviously, if there's a dull speech, then we'll have a little chat, but I don't want to get in the way of any of the audios or whatever else. Hopefully I don't get another copyright for the music playing in the background. That annoys me so much, that. But yeah, we'll crack on, crack on.
I am writing this under an appreciable mental strain, since by tonight I shall be no more.
No more. That's what he said. He's just in a box room. During the game, you encounter interactive elements, some of them allowing you to continue your journey. Others reveal interesting facts about the original short story, its historical background, and the author. Some of the trivia is hidden. In order to find these secrets, focus your eyes and look around for the Elder sign. Okay. I will. Look for the Elder sign. What's that?
Penniless, and at the end of my supply of the drug which alone makes life endurable, I can bear the torture no longer, and shall cast myself from this garret window into the squalid street below.
Oh, he's on the morphine. Right, let's go. Can we find it? Nope.
Do not think from my slavery to morphine that I am a weakling or a degenerate.
Okay, he's not. Don't be mean to him like that.
When you have read these hastily scrawled pages, you may guess, though never fully realize, why it is that I must have forgetfulness or death.
I understand, mate. Just want to blank it out.
It was in one of the most open and least frequented parts of the broad Pacific that the packet of which I was supercargo fell a victim to the German sea raider.
So it was in one of the most open and least frequented parts of the broad Pacific that the packet of which I was supercargo fell a victim to the German sea raider. So it's during the war. Shots fired, shots fired.
The Great War was then at its very beginning, and the ocean forces of the Hun had not completely sunk to their later degradation.
Okay.
So that our vessel was made a legitimate prize, whilst we of her crew were treated with all the fairness and consideration due us as naval prisoners.
That's fair enough. That's very pretty. It's a very basic... You don't get to move much. You just literally... I like it. Half hour. German flag. We've got to follow the Elder sign. The Huns were Central Asian nomads who established a dominion in Europe and invaded the Roman Empire in the 5th century AD. They were known as brutal, deadly warriors and masters of quick raids, who also developed powerful composite bows, lassos, and early siege weapons. During World War I, which was the Great War, 1914 to 1918? Possible. The word Hun as a synonym for synonymy, forget it, for Germans. So in other words, Hun means Germans. In order to emphasize their brutality, however, the term originated when the German Emperor Wilhelm II Wilhelm. You can't write it up, can you? However, the team originated when the German Emperor Wilhelm II gave a speech to his troops on the 27th of July 1900, before they embarked to China. Should you encounter the enemy, he will be defeated. No quarter will be given. Prisoners not be taken. Whoever falls into your hands is forfeited. Just as 1,000 years ago, the Huns under the King Attila made a name for themselves, one that even today makes them seem mighty in history and legend. May the name German be affirmed by you in such a way in China that no Chinese will ever again dare to look cross-eyed at a German. The refusal to take prisoners was a clear breach of the laws and the customs of war adopted during the First Hague Convention of 1899. You can read the discovered trivia immediately or go back to them later in the main menu. Turn off displaying trivia if you find the feature distracts you from the story. This can be changed anytime. And so you get a bit of a history lesson as well. I like that. That sounds pretty good. We'll leave it on. I'm going to leave it on.
So liberal, indeed, was the discipline of our captors, that 5 days after we were taken, I managed to escape alone in a small boat with water and provisions for a good length of time.
Lucky. This is where he obviously went, oh, there's his very small provisions.
When I finally found myself adrift and free, I had but little idea of my surroundings. Never a competent navigator, I could only guess vaguely by the sun and stars that I was somewhat south of the equator.
What was that? Is it Wales? Is this how pies started? If you can hear birds and dogs and things, it's probably the neighbours, but I've got the window open because it is too bloody hot in here.
Of the longitude, I knew nothing, and no island or coastline was in sight.
I'm hearing like voices. It's always behind us though. There's the moon. I think, yeah, he's just going to go slowly nuts, isn't he?
The weather kept fair, and for uncounted days I drifted aimlessly beneath the scorching sun, waiting either for some passing ship or to be cast on the shores of some habitable land.
I'm liking this. We're getting a story, and we're reading. We're learning history. Excuse me. As well as playing a computer game. Freefest. Oh, need some water. Is it morphine?
But neither ship nor land appeared, and I began to despair in my solitude upon the heaving vastness of unbroken blue.
Heaving, such a powerful word.
The change happened whilst I slept. Its details I shall never know. For my slumber, though troubled and dream-infested, was continuous.
Dead squid, lots of tar. Starship Troopers comes to mind.
When at last I awoke, it was to discover myself half sucked into a slimy expanse of hellish black mire, which extended about me in monotonous undulations as far as I could see.
Monotonous undulations.
And in which my boat lay grounded some distance away.
You could say that. You ain't get back in that again.
Though one might well imagine that my first sensation would be of wonder at so prodigious and unexpected a transformation of scenery, I was in reality more horrified than astonished.
Yeah, I think I would be actually to wake up in this position.
For there was in the air and in the rotting soil a sinister quality which chilled me to the very core. The region was putrid with the carcasses of decaying fish and of other less describable things which I saw protruding from the nasty mud of the unending plain. Perhaps I should not hope to convey in mere words the unutterable hideousness that can dwell in absolute silence and barren immensity.
Oh, do you know what? The old language. So I say it like it's something we've lost. We have lost it, to be honest with you. We abbreviate too much now. I think it's just so descriptive, so polite in talking, so prominent. I think you can just from someone talking to you like this with those sort of words, just puts you in that mood. You don't need to be there. Do you know what I mean? We have lost that. Do you know what I mean? See, look, I've said it there. It's just simple little denominations. We've just lost this perfect way of speaking, I think. I think we've just become too lazy as a human race, but there you go.
There was nothing within hearing and nothing in sight save a vast reach of black slime. Yet the very completeness of the stillness and the homogeneity of the landscape oppressed me with a nauseating fear.
Very peaceful as well, actually.
The sun was blazing down from a sky which seemed to me almost black in its cloudless cruelty, as though reflecting the inky marsh beneath my feet.
Crazy. Let's go to the boat. Squelch.
As I crawled into the stranded boat, I realized that only one theory could explain my position.
It's the blob! The thing! Run to the hills!
Through some unprecedented volcanic upheaval, a portion of the ocean floor must have been thrown to the surface, exposing regions for which innumerable millions of years had lain hidden under unfathomable watery depths. So great was the extent of the new land which had risen beneath me that I could not detect the faintest noise of the surging ocean, straining my ears as I might.
Oh.
Nor were there any seafowl to prey upon the dead things.
That's a good shout, actually, mate. Where's all the seagulls? They're not going to eat anything. They're not really dead, though, are they? Just sort of help me. That's that help me movement.
For several hours I sat thinking or brooding in the boat, which lay upon its side and afforded a slight shade as the sun moved across the heavens. As the day progressed, the ground lost some of its stickiness and seemed likely to dry sufficiently for travelling purposes in a short time.
Well, I'm glad for you, my friend. Stay away from that pulsating mountain over there.
That night I slept but little, and the next day I made for myself a pack containing food and water, preparatory to an overland journey in search of the vanished sea, and possible rescue.
Yes.
On the third morning, I found the soil dry enough to walk upon with ease.
Nice. His translucent thoughts had become real. He could walk on them.
The odor of the fish was maddening, but I was too much concerned with graver things to mind so slight an evil, and set out boldly for an unknown goal.
Yes. We shall walk to the fast-forward spot in the middle of nowhere. This is so me.
All day I forged steadily westward, guided by a faraway hummock which rose higher than any other elevation on the rolling desert.
They are arachnids. Where's the stormtroopers? We need to call stormtroopers. We're being... They were here, 1900s. Look. Oh. Poor whale.
That night, I encamped, and on the following day still travelled toward the hummock, though that object seemed scarcely nearer than when I had first espied it.
Brave soul.
By the fourth evening, I attained the base of the mound, which turned out to be much higher than it had appeared from a distance. An intervening valley setting it out in sharper relief from the general surface. Too weary to ascend, I slept in the shadow of the hill. I know not why my dreams were so wild that night.
Well, you're in a dark expanse of complete and utter madness, and it's your second night of going a bit mental, isn't it, really, to be honest with you?
But ere the waning and fantastically gibbous moon had risen far above the eastern plain, I was awake in a cold perspiration, determined to sleep no more. Such visions as I had experienced were too much for me to endure again.
Can't see much, mate.
And in the glow of the moon, I saw how unwise I had been to travel by day.
Why?
Without the glare of the parching sun, my journey would have cost me less energy.
Yeah.
Indeed, I now felt quite able to perform the ascent which had deterred me at sunset. Picking up my pack, I started for the crest of the eminence.
The eminence.
I have said that the unbroken monotony of the rolling plain was a source of vague horror to me. But I think my horror was greater when I gained the summit of the mound and looked down the other side into an immeasurable pit or canyon.
I can't see nothing, mate. It's dark.
Whose black recesses the moon had not yet soared high enough to illumine. I felt myself on the edge of the world.
Well, we can't look down any further, so...
Peering over the rim into a fathomless chaos of eternal night.
Oh, eternal night.
Through my terror ran curious reminiscences of Paradise Lost, and of Satan's hideous climb through the unfashioned realms of darkness.
Ugh, just the language.
As the moon climbed higher in the sky, I began to see that the slopes of the valley were not quite so perpendicular as I had imagined.
Oh. No, they're not.
Ledges and outcroppings of rock afforded fairly easy footholds for a descent.
I guess we're going down then.
whilst after a drop of only a few hundred feet, the declivity became very gradual.
Declivity. Let's do it again. Declivity.
Urged on by an impulse which I cannot definitely analyze, I scrambled with difficulty down the rocks and stood on the gentler slope beneath, gazing into the Stygian deeps, where no light had yet penetrated.
Stygian deeps.
All at once, my attention was captured by a vast and singular object on the opposite slope, which rose steeply about 100 yards ahead of me. An object that gleamed whitely in the newly bestowed rays of the ascending moon.
The moon was in front of us. How does that work? Yeah, the moon should be over there. Not here to question why.
That it was merely a gigantic piece of stone, I soon assured myself. But I was conscious of a distinct impression that its contour and position were not altogether the work of nature. A closer scrutiny filled me with sensations I cannot express. For despite its enormous magnitude, and its position in an abyss which had yawned at the bottom of the sea since the world was young.
Haven't we seen these turning up? Like, well, they disappeared, didn't they? Obelisks.
I perceived beyond a doubt that the strange object was a well-shaped monolith.
Monolith. Under the sun with a glaze in my eyes.
Whose massive bulk had known the workmanship and perhaps the worship of living and thinking creatures.
Creatures?
Dazed and frightened, yet not without a certain thrill of the scientist's or archaeologist's delight, I examined my surroundings more closely.
Mud, and more mud.
The moon, now near the zenith, shone weirdly and vividly above the towering steeps that hemmed in the chasm.
Wow. Got the sound of the sea with a puddle. Oh, there's a picture on it.
And revealed the fact that a far-flung body of water flowed at the bottom, winding out of sight in both directions and almost lapping my feet as I stood on the slope.
Right, that displays it as if it's like a vast ocean, but it sort of ends there. I mean, how big are we?
Across the chasm, the wavelets washed the base of the Cyclopean monolith.
Cyclopean.
On whose surface I could now trace both inscriptions and crude sculptures. The writing was in a system of hieroglyphics unknown to me and unlike anything I'd ever seen in books, consisting for the most part of conventionalized aquatic symbols such as fishes, eels, octopi, crustaceans, mollusks, whales, and the like.
Octopi.
Several characters obviously represented marine things which are unknown to the modern world, but whose decomposing forms I had observed on the ocean-risen plain.
The originals.
It was the pictorial carving, however, that did most to hold me spellbound.
Let's do that. We're going to learn a bit of history again. Dagon contains many themes and storytelling methods that Lovecraft developed in his later works, such as telling the story through carvings at the Mountains of Madness, the Nameless City, journals and characters' notes, the shadow out of time, the haunter of the dark, islands emerging from the ocean, the call of, I ain't even saying that, or fictional beings and deities based on real events, and mythologies, My Go in the Whisperer in Darkness. It also considered the origin of the popular Cthulhu Mythos. Some of Lovecraft's other stories also conclude in a manner similar to Dagon, but let's get the details in order not to spoil the ending.
Plainly visible across the intervening water on account of their enormous size were an array of bas-reliefs whose subjects would have excited the envy of a doré. I think that these things were supposed to depict men, at least a certain sort of men, though the creatures were shown disporting like fishes in the waters of some marine grotto, or paying homage at some monolithic shrine which appeared to be under the waves as well. Of their faces and forms I dare not speak in detail.
I like that, because they were too, obviously it just made him feel that, you know, weird, because it just looked horrific. I can't speak in detail.
For the mere remembrance makes me grow faint. Grotesque beyond the imagination of a Poe or a Bulwer.
The Anunnaki. I get it.
They were damnably human in general outline, despite webbed hands and feet, shockingly wide and flabby lips. Glassy, bulging eyes, and other features less pleasant to recall. Curiously enough, they seem to have been chiseled badly out of proportion with their scenic background. For one of the creatures was shown in the act of killing a whale, represented as but little larger than himself. I remarked, as I say, their grotesqueness and strange size.
Jason and the Argonauts. That's where he's come from.
But in a moment decided that they were merely the imaginary gods of some primitive fishing or seafaring tribe. Some tribe whose last descendant had perished eras before the first ancestor of the Piltdown or Neanderthal man was born.
Before Neanderthal man.
Awestruck at this unexpected glimpse into a past beyond the conception of the most daring anthropologist, I stood musing whilst the moon cast queer reflections on the silent channel before me. Then, suddenly, I saw it. With only a slight churning to mark its rise to the surface, the thing slid into view above the dark waters.
What is it?
Vast, polyphemus-like and loathsome, it darted like a stupendous monster of nightmares to the monolith, about which it flung its gigantic scaly arms, the while it bowed its hideous head and gave vent to certain measured sounds.
This is taking a turn.
I think I went mad then. Of my frantic ascent of the slope and cliff, and of my delirious journey back to the stranded boat, I remember little. I believe I sang a great deal and laughed oddly when I was unable to sing. I have indistinct recollections of a great storm sometime after I reached the boat. At any rate, I know that I heard pearls of thunder and other tones which nature utters only in her wildest moods.
We're just lost at sea. Bit dehydrated.
When I came out of the shadows, I was in a San Francisco hospital.
Lucky.
Brought thither by the captain of the American ship which had picked up my boat in mid-ocean. In my delirium, I had said much, but found that my words had been given scant attention. Of any land upheaval in the Pacific, my rescuers knew nothing. Nor did I deem it necessary to insist upon a thing which I knew they could not believe.
Yeah. What's this? Oh, here we go. He was a prominent figure in the world of amateur journalism in 1915. He started publishing in his own journal called The Conservative, which included political and social commentary, poetry, short stories, and literal criticism written by him and other authors. Howard was a skilled wordsmith, but he also took criticisms to heart, which resulted in his decision to step away from writing poetry and concentrate on weird fiction. For the first time since his teenage years, Dagon, published in 1919, is one of the short stories written during that period. In this excerpt from The Conservative, the master of horror fiction explains his attitude towards warfare and the idea of world peace. Never happened, too divided. Why any sane human can believe in the possibility of universal peace is more than the conservatives can fathom. Should the entire civilized world agree simultaneously to disarm one or more nations, would undoubtedly retain secret armaments and at the proper time take advantage of their more altruistic and less astute contemporaries in a wild career of conquest against unarmed victims. So true. No country or ever can be above warfare until the basic impulses of the human animal shall have miraculously changed. And that is true, because if any country or people would say, we all disarmed, we all took away nuclear, someone would hold on to that one nuclear bomb. We've got you by the short and curlies then, you know what I mean? We're taking over, we're ruling, otherwise we're just going to decimate you. So everyone would have to do it at once, but it would never happen, so... Here we go. Astute way of looking at things. Hopefully I use that in the right content.
Once I sought out a celebrated ethnologist and amused him with peculiar questions regarding the ancient Philistine legend of Dagon, the fish god.
Dagon. Dagon was the main deity of the Philistines, worshipped throughout the Middle East as the ancient god of fertility and crops. In Hebrew, the word Dagan was a common noun for grain. The rulers of Akkad, Metastophia, chose him as the patron saint of their war conquests. He also appeared as the judge of the dead in an Assyrian poem and an underworld prison warder in one of the Babylonian texts. He is often mistakenly taken for a fish god due to the wrong interpretations of his name, as in Hebrew the word dag means fish. In H.P. Lovecraft's works, Dagon is an underwater deity ruling over the deep ones, a humanoid race with fish traits that resides in the oceans. He is worshipped by a secret cult called the Esoteric Order of Dagon. I probably said that wrong, but yeah. See if we can find. There's nothing over here. Anything? Oh, there we go.
But soon perceiving that he was hopelessly conventional, I did not press my inquiries.
Don't do it. There. August Derleth was an American writer and anthologist. He also befriended Lovecraft and published many of his works for his company's Arkham House. Although he's greatly contributed to the popularization of the author's works after his death, he is surrounded by numerous controversies. One of his most questionable decisions involved introducing the good versus evil doctrine. Derleth was a devout Catholic to the Mythos, which contrasted with Lovecraft's views of the world and his approach to cosmic horror. As a result, the author's works are often misunderstood and misinterpreted in today's culture. It is also worth noting that Lovecraft was never really interested in creating a mythology, and the term Cthulhu Mythos was coined by Derleth after the author left the mortal plane. It's with teeth, they get in the way all the time. There we go. Straight through the table. was we looking at, mate? So you come all the way over here. Why don't you just walk straight to the doors? Nut job.
It is at night, especially when the moon is gibbous and waning, that I see the thing.
The thing. We're going to see the thing, aren't we? Nope, because it's on here somewhere. Oh, is he going to do his... Is he going to do his drugs now, is he?
I tried morphine, but the drug has given only transient surcease and has drawn me into its clutches as a hopeless slave. So now I am to end it all, having written a full account for the information or the contemptuous amusement of my fellow men. Often, I ask myself if it could not all have been a pure phantasm.
I mean, for someone that's doing morphine, he's very... his lingo's very up-to-date, isn't it?
A mere freak of fever as I lay sun-stricken and raving in the open boat after my escape from the German man-of-war.
Days and nights turn into one.
This I ask myself, but ever does there come before me a hideously vivid vision in reply.
Imagine just staring that day in, day out.
I cannot think of the deep sea without shuddering at the nameless things that may at this very moment be crawling and floundering on its slimy bed, worshipping their ancient stone idols and carving their own detestable likenesses on submarine obelisks of water-soaked granite. I dream of a day when they may rise above the billows to drag down into their reeking talons the remnants of puny, war-exhausted mankind. Of a day when the land shall sink and the dark ocean shall ascend amidst universal pandemonium.
Yeah. That would be a sight, wouldn't it, eh?
The end is near.
Someone's trying to get in the door.
I hear a noise at the door, as of some immense slippery body lumbering against it.
Oh, he's coming in.
It shall not find me.
Too late.
God, that hand! The window! The window!
Oh, something snapped. Wow. 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 I thoroughly enjoyed that. Who'd have thought a free game would be so enjoyable? Amazeballs. Let me know in the comments. Hit the like button if you want to see more. Let me know in the comments if you managed to see your own elbow. Yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed that. We could do the rest. The DLCs are free as well, so brilliant. And learning as well. Thank you so much for watching. What an amazing way to start. I've got plenty more to do today. But yeah, from a sunny, very warm town on the coast of the UK, this is Arachnid's Gaming World. Signing out. Catch you on the next episode. Goodbye.